Okay.
Perfect. It shows us live on YouTube and on Facebook. So I'm going to check over here and make sure that we're live and share in a couple of places before we get kicked off.
Okay.
Perfect. And I see us on the screen, so it looks like it's working fine. Awesome. And as you guys are starting to hop on here, you know, I like to share this on some different places. So give me a thumbs up and let me know that you're with us. Also comment so I can give you some kudos and shout outs here in a second when I see your post. Training. So excited to get this kicked off. Okay, awesome. So I'm seeing a couple of people with us. It looks like I have our board chair, Brian Dice. Good morning to you, Brian. Thank you for hopping on. I also have with us Counselor Seymour. Thank you for being on time, or maybe it's because I started it a little bit later that you were on time, but thank you nonetheless for hopping on here with us. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and we're back at it today with another live broadcast. As you know, Tuesdays are reserved for our Business Success Series, which is an opportunity to highlight businesses in Westminster, how they've overcome COVID, how they adapted during this time. What are they doing in terms of health and safety for their well-being of their employees, their customers, and their vendors, and basically anyone that they interact with. It's also an opportunity that you can understand what some industries are doing to survive and thrive during this time, how you yourself can implement some things that they might have that are successful, or you just might learn from in general. So along the way, we love that engagement. We want to know who's with us. So comments, provide us those questions if you're curious. We do take up the questions at the very end. Comments are displayed as we've done with Counselor Seymour's like this. So hopefully you have a photo that you're proud of, like he has, of him and Shelly. But if you don't have it, still do not feel bad to post a comment or question for us. So as you are aware, I like to give you some housekeeping rules. If it's your first time landing on our Facebook page, hit the like button, hit the follow so you can get those timely alerts. Also find us on all of our social media platforms. We're at Westy Chamber on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course on YouTube, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. Again, so today is that Business Success Series. Our focus today is with our guest 303 Training Center. It's actually located here in Westminster. They're adjacent to our up and coming downtown Westminster, off of kind of 89th and Harland area. But their owner is Tony Basili, and he has dedicated his 30 minutes with us to give us some updates from his lens. We'll take up some questions and comments and any questions that you have along the way. But like I said, we want that engagement. So if you think of something, if you gain something out of this, shoot us that message so we know that. Tony, I'm muting myself. The floor is all yours to go ahead and introduce your business and share with us what you would like to.
Thanks, Juliette. First of all, thank you for having me. It's been crazy times, as everybody is well aware of. I've run the 303 Training Center, was the founder of it since April of 2010. So it's been a decade. This was going to be our big summer party this year. So unfortunately, all that got pushed back. And like everything else in the world, you know, we had to adjust with everything going on. We were so healthy when this happened that fortunately we've been able to survive it. Most in this industry, which is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing industry, are really struggling right now. A lot of my colleagues and friends and business owners that I know are going out of business right now. We had to close down. Before we closed down, just to give you an idea, the school was grossing probably around $40,000 a month, over 320 students. On Monday of March 8th, we had heard about the coronavirus. You know, everybody kind of heard, but we had no idea how serious it was getting and how fast. By March 10th, on Wednesday, we had closed down. We were one of the first businesses before everybody else closed down. And the reason is we were well aware of what we do as a business. I mean, we grapple. We are very, very up close with people. We coach mixed martial arts fighters, everything from kids to, 60, 70-year-old students that we have here. So all walks of life. Right off the bat, we understood, not knowing anything about this novel disease, that we couldn't risk anything. So I had actually told my management on that day that if we close this down, there's a good chance we won't be able to open it back up. It is a very hard industry to build 300 students, to get that many people. People are scared of this business a little bit. It's grown adults practicing, choking and wrestling, and it just doesn't. A lot of martial arts are kids, and this is primarily adults. I mean, out of the 300 students, plus 2/3 of those are adults. So just under 100 kids that we'd had. So when we shut it down, I'd warned, being optimistic that this was going to be very hard to get this back going again. We always say in every class, there's always one person ready to quit anyways. It's very challenging. It takes over 10 years to get a jiu-jitsu black belt, which is one of the hardest belts in all martial arts to get. So any deterrent here is very easy for people to kind of step away from. And then you add the economic stress. It's not cheap. It's $160 a month for unlimited classes. So if we have to limit it, if there's any hindrance, then it's very, makes a lot of sense for people to look at this as more of a luxury, not a necessity. And in times of trouble, people are going to cut out their luxuries and just go with the necessities. With that in mind, self-defense is, more and more of a necessity, and was a little bit wrong on that. But at first, we just weren't totally sure. So we closed down. I kept all my staff. I've been able to pay my entire staff. So the last months leading into this, we took all our revenues and put them aside and spread them out. And we made a target date by July 1st. July 1st, we weren't going to be able to open up. Then our speculation at the time was that the entire economy would be done. Like, if we can't open up, then, it's going to be a lot of problems everywhere around. So we set that out, and that really helped to start, because we weren't just hoping by April, hoping by June, like May. Like we understood, give us plenty of time to do this. I contacted one of my old investors in the business that originally started with me, who had been paying. He hasn't been involved in over 5 years. And he immediately jumped in and said, "Hey, if you guys need the help, I'm here to help you guys." So we had that cushion right off the bat. And his name is Randy Hoffman, and he's a great guy. And so anyways, we put that money aside and paid all our staff. So I only had to let go of a couple of part-time instructors at the time. My staff was amazing. They immediately, before anybody else in the martial arts world for sure, jumped onto Zoom. I mean, one of the very first of all the business, I think by March 15th, 16th, we were already doing Zoom classes. And for me, I was really depressed because my gym is beautiful. And to go from that to my living room was a shock. It was I even let myself, you don't have to do it. We're going to pay you guys. I need them to reopen up for us. We have this amazing staff here. It's so hard to build people in this industry. Because you just can't hire them. They have to know jiu-jitsu, and that takes a long time to learn. So we literally farmed our staff up for over the past 10 years. So it was very, very vital to keep them rather than have to start over with just me running all the classes at 44 years old. It just wasn't going to be a viable way to continue what we had built here. So we knew how important it was to keep the staff. So we paid them and ran the Zoom classes, and they ran them. I think I only did 2. I have 5 children, all under 13. So I was busy homeschooling and dealing with them and running this bed and breakfast every day. So they ran them. And then by June 15th, we were able to get the go ahead to try to open up again. And at that point in time, we looked at all our student base and we were able to collect back 90 people, which was huge. I mean, that was way more than I'd even hoped for. I basically thought we'd lose everybody outside of maybe 30, 40 people. So 90 was a good start. So at this point in time, things weren't as strict as they are now. So we knew things were going to get stricter, and they're still going to get stricter. We still warn that these are getting stricter. Our gym is 5,500 square feet, and this has been a big help for us. A smaller gym, we'd have a lot of problems. So the CDC in 5,500 square feet, we can have, it was 29 people in the building. They put it down to 27. And this is before the mandate mask rule came in. Before the mandate mask, though, we still had everybody come in with masks. We have the sanitizer at the front door. We have a $22,000 floor we put in of mats, and it is not good to wash them 5 times a day. But after every session, we have a crew come in and go through the entire mats and wash them. I'll explain a little bit how we kind of do this. And it's unique because I think a lot of other jiu-jitsu businesses have had a problem doing this. And some of it is the space that they have. I'm going to flash to my floor. Well, no, I won't do that. I might lose my signal here. But so with 5,500 square feet, with most of it being mat, we have 3,300 square feet of mat, which means we can have 19 people on the mat at one time. So we only allow 12 in the school. We've opened that up to 16. We only allow, at first it was 12, but now 16 people can be on the mat. So we have room for extra people. Now in jiu-jitsu, it's very close. Like social distancing is almost basically impossible. So before we came in, we got all our students that we'd had that we knew were coming back, and we assigned them partners and risk factors. And risk factors being, are they, around, like me, myself, I'm around nobody that's at high risk. So I'd be a low risk to spread it to anybody that I care about. But it doesn't just have to be me. Most of the people in our industry are very healthy. So, the chances of them falling too sick to this were low, statistically speaking, from the science that we have. But who are they around? And that's really what we were concerned about. So we were accepting people back into the school that were already students. So there's, a handful of people we just wouldn't let come back for various reasons, or we would consult with them and see what their situation was like. So we assigned everybody partners. We assigned them classes. And then them and their partner would come to classes. Now, this was really important because through our system, we're able to contact trays better than any restaurant, really better than anybody, because we know exactly who is with who at all times. So teachers weren't allowed to be with each other. We had assigned assistants that were allowed to be with the teacher. So the assistant and the teacher would be the only ones in contact. Then the students would be in contact with their partner, and that's it. Now, as time went on, it got a little more difficult. We're sitting at 120 people now. So we've gained back. We're slowly gaining. Nobody's quit. We're slowly gaining. We're not really signing people up to the public. We're not trying. We're not marketing. We're not doing anything that way. We have our own students, and under this limited capacity, we're slowly trying to get things back together. However, we've had 7 new people sign up. A couple of them already did jiu-jitsu from other schools, so that was a shock. But as time goes on, it got really tough to get partners to completely coordinate with each other. That's a lot of people, 100 people. They all got to go on the same Tuesday. So if your partner doesn't show up on Tuesday, then your partner doesn't show up. Then you don't have a partner. So we had to make the groups a little bit bigger, about 3 people, 3 to 4, not mixing up throughout the week. So you would have your same partners. And that, again, was for low risk. So we still have our higher risk. And they come in with just one person. Even one of our teachers is. So he just is in contact with one other, his partner, or his assistant, sorry. And that's it. He has nobody else that he's in contact with. So now with the mask rules, people come in, they have to wear their mask at all times. The teachers wear masks at all times while they're on the mat. The only time somebody's not wearing a mask is when they'd be physically engaged in grappling with the other student. Now, to justify this, we had to really look at it, because there's a minute I had to say, gosh, we can't. If you look at all the social distancing, we are the worst business, And then I thought, well, Tinder's worse than us. They don't contact trace. So, we did have some precedences of things out there where people could hang, and they're more risky than what we were doing, considering all the information we would collect and how we were treating our students. So now the time came on with masks. And everybody, and it took a step back. People got worried about us because before there really wasn't the mask mandate. So it's like, how do we do this now on the mat where you have to wear a mask now at all times? So we took a kind of a page out of what the restaurants are doing, and we chalked off squares that are very much like tables, and we treat it as a restaurant. You're with your guest at your table. Less, because the restaurants, I'm not sure what the limit is, how many people you can have at your table at a restaurant, but I know you can go out with as many different people all week as you want to the restaurant and sit in front of them for an hour and whatnot. So with us, it's the same partners, the same things go, but you are in your square. If you leave your table, you need to have your mask on at all times. So, our vending machines are down. There's no water fountain, the bathrooms one at a time, tons of extra cleaning The schools never looked better as far as cleanliness goes. But it's a half glass, half full kind of situation. You know, I could absolutely look at things and say we are half empty. You know, sales are down 65%, you know, attendance, this and that. But to really see where we're at and where we're going right now has been super encouraging. I couldn't, you know, I feel really good about it. Our salmon run, so to speak, where we get most of our students is between September and March. So that's what'll define us. That's when we'll start looking to get more students. Hopefully some of the restrictions have eased up a little bit because of the science or the spread is stopped. Very worried about Colorado becoming a bigger hotspot. If that is the case, we'll lower our class levels again to 8 to 10, where you have to have the same one assigned student each time. Then there's the kids. The kids are, I mean, the whole school discussion, and I won't get into that for sure about how people and even how I feel. I have 5 kids, but the kids here, that's where we've had a problem. That's where we've had to kick parents out. They've been upset, where we've gotten to capacity. Everybody wants their kid back here. I thought the fear level would be much higher. I've been surprised. The fear level is low. I'm more scared than most of the student base is. Or, you know, at least the ones that are here. Mind you, there's 200 that are not here. But the parents want their kids doing something. The kids love it. They miss it. We treat them the same. They have their table, their kids, their partners. They're a little easier. Kids are more consistent because the parents are going to get them here. But that's where we're running into a problem is we're used to having 40 kids. Juliet has been here during our kids' classes. It is an absolute pandemonium here. And now, you know, 14 kids. And we're very thankful to have that. If I were to go back to 2012, that's all we had. So we just got to look at it in the right perspective. And the kids love it. It's been so good for them. You know, my kids in particular, they have had no contact with other kids. They have barely, you know, they just haven't got to do the things that kids get to do. So to see them play is fun. We have social distance dodgeball. So that's fun. Everybody's got to stay in their square. And we have different rules where you have to have, you know, being inside your square and play dodgeball. So we've been creative on how we've come up with different things. And they're wearing their masks at all times too. So that was the hardest switch when everyone had to wear masks, is making the kids wear masks. And you know, mom was in here with her little 3-year-old and he had a mask on, and I can't even make my 3-year-old wear a mask. So, you know, we had to get rid of all our toys in here so they couldn't. So, you know, there's 2 sides. We could have chosen to look at this, sad or not. And we've been, you know, not for sure. We've been very encouraged by all this. A lot of gym owners closed down because it made sense to save your money in rent and then just reopen when this thing, you know, when this thing's able to open up again, which who knows when that is. But us, we're a community, you know, we've been here 10 years. We have people that this is like family here. And you know, it takes a community to really survive this thing. So, we're really confident in the time to come. We are taking new members. There is going to be a premium on this. It is harder to get, you know, a jiu-jitsu degree now. So we're running specials, and then pretty soon it's because of our lack of numbers, it's going to be real high. So anybody from the Commerce or that sees this that wants to come in, you got a 30% discount off our normal membership prices. Our prices will be $200 and up by the end of the year, especially for kids because of our limited space. But we'd love to have you. Anybody that's involved with the Commerce or that is even paying attention to this video here, please come down and we'd love to show you around, and whatever other questions that you have, I'd be glad to answer at any time, even if not now.
Thank you so much, Tony. And this is one of the reasons that I really asked you to come on here. When you start talking about 303 Training Center and what you do, you know, your passion for it really starts showing. And I get excited listening, even though, you know, I'm not in your industry, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is neat. And to see that you've adapted some of the things by incorporating those partner programs that you now have, or, you know, for the higher risk, it's more of the one individual with their assistant, and then going on to have that adaptability, especially for an industry that you said so yourself. I mean, you guys are face to face with one another. You're in that close. So the 6-foot distancing rule doesn't necessarily easily apply over. Thank you for sharing a discount. So for anybody that's tuning in, whether you're a Westminster Chamber member or for any of the viewers onto this program, if you yourself are interested in learning more about the art of jiu-jitsu, grappling, and all of the wonderful services that they have over at 303 Training Center, there is a 30% discount that you can use. I've included that in the comment section for you guys to find out. But wow, 10 years that you've been in business. It does stink that we can't celebrate it with that outdoor party. I know we talked about that very early on, but I do have an idea. So don't get off this broadcast without me talking to you about it.
Okay.
So you mentioned, and I'm so glad that you did this, because sometimes people don't understand the, when we say, I lost members, right? So you referenced, I lost a third, I only kept a third of my membership. So 300 people that were involved with this, we're having a little under 100 that are there. So a third of them that we were able to retain, that equated to the sales being down by 65% for your business. In numbers, that really goes to show, because again, when people hear, oh, you're starting it back up and you have those partner programs, your revenue starting to go up, they're not really seeing that, yeah, while I am starting to operate and keep a lot of my employees that I had, my full-time employees, and the ones I didn't let go, there's still this big gap that's there. And so I'll be curious to see what happens in your enrollment phase between September, hopefully to March, is that it booms and it picks up and you get some people that have that confidence to sign up with you. So along the lines of your health and safety, and you mentioned this earlier on when you said, you completely changed the floor plan that was there. And I see John Kahn, good morning, thank you for hopping on, and Marquez, thank you as well for coming on here. I'll have to flip over so I can find your comment, because I think you commented on the video I shared and not this broadcast, so I'll find it and pull it up. But anyways, you shared that you opened up the floor and really changed it over to floor mats that were there, and on a daily basis, you're cleaning that. Can you explain a little bit as far as, our employees, are they screening themselves, or are they using sanitizers? Are you asking them if they've been in contact? What does it look like from the employee's perspective? And then I'll come back to you with a follow-up question as well.
It's a great question. It starts off when people come in, we take their temperature, which at first wasn't working out because they were in their car waiting to get in. So everybody was all hot. So everybody coming in had a fever. So we ask them, of course, when they come in, how they're feeling. We got a better thermometer after the first week, and we take their temperature. We adjusted all our classes so that classes that, like, there's an open training that goes on, for example, at 11, and then class would go on at 12. So now the class is at 12:30. So we take a half an hour. We have 2 people go through the entire mat, bleach everything, and then hit all the high touch areas that would be suspect. So other than that, we generally only have 2 employees at a time in the school at a time. So and they're required to be distanced from each other during that time. And then we're really careful with trying to follow the science even before the mask, but even with the mask, we treat it exactly the same. Do not have a conversation within 6 feet of somebody for longer than 5 minutes. That goes for instructors trying to answer a question. Do not be in that 6 feet. And talk longer than 5 minutes. So out on the floor, that's what we worry about most. So there's no more spectators allowed to come in outside the parents with the kids, which we started to let come back in. But really, other than that, we're not dealing with a whole lot of people at one time. So it's pretty a personal basis, and it's pretty easy to spread out in our space that we have.
Excellent. I see a couple more people that hopped on here with us. I do see State Representative Tracy Kraptharp. Good morning to you. Thank you for the quick note. And Marquez was sharing that a lot of what you have shared with us, these tips and feedback, is some really good nuggets of information that's out there. I also see Counselor DeMont that's come in here and is tuning in. For those of you that are hopping on here with us, we have Tony Vasili. He is the owner of 303 Training Center located here in Westminster, Colorado. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They also do a lot of grappling and various programs that are dedicated to kids all the way to seniors. And right now during COVID, their unique approach has been the partner programs that they've implemented and instituted. Been around for 10 years. You did not share the one major accomplishment. You've had a lot of accomplishments, but there is one that you have hung up.
Yes.
And I'm surprised that you've not shared this with us yet. So can you tell our viewers about that and how you have that in your facility?
Right. Well, what Julie was referring to is we have a UFC world title belt here. I'm a 2-time world champion UFC coach. We won Colorado's first ever UFC belt. For those of you that don't really follow the UFC, and most people don't, but the UFC started here in Colorado in 1994. So In 2017, we brought back the first UFC belt ever to Colorado. So the first one. So it'd be the equivalent of a Super Bowl in our sport. So I was very proud to do it. That's why I named it 303. I was very proud of Denver, and for us to be able to do that in Madison Square Garden. We were an 8-1 underdog. There is a really cool story about it, how to beat a bully. Our champion is Rose Namajunas. She is known as Thug Rose, but she's also known as be a good person. That's her motto. And just to add to that, she did lose her title. She did beat the girl last month who she lost her title from. And now the champion is a Chinese champion. So we're looking at a pay-per-view event in December where Rose will go for representing not just Colorado now, all of America, to go get back the belt from China, which it'll be a huge event because China and America don't really have any sports. There's no sporting going on. So this is our one chance to actually compete against China and kind of go back and get what's ours. And better yet, what's Westminster's. It's Westminster's belt, and we'll go back and get it. And if you ever want to see it, we have it here. We have a replica. The real one's made out of gold and is about worth $25,000 just on the gold value. But we have the exact replica. We don't always tell people that because they look exactly like at the front door. So people come in all over the world just to come look at it, actually. And she had a mantra, she says, that's very famous. And one of our students made the case, and we carved the mantra in there. And it's really interesting. I won't tell you what it is, but if you want a good mantra, come in and read this, and it helps you win the belt.
I love the hooks that you give us with the percentage, with the mantra that's there. It is a huge accomplishment, and I love how you wove that into your brand and kind of all you're about, and to see the competition and the drive to keep going, especially to see that it's still going to be held in December. You know, I'm seeing that with bodybuilding competitions. We're seeing it with these types of, and those are the positive, right? This is the outlet for people to maintain their physical health, their mental health, and their overall emotional well-being. So it's great to know. So this question comes to us from our viewer. It's related to kind of the newer model to your business as a result of transitioning or maybe taking on people during the time of COVID. Did you have to get new insurance, or was there a new insurance model that fit what you were already doing?
No, I mean, you know, our business by nature, before COVID even came by, we are one of the most cleanliest people. I mean, many of you, if you're in the medical field or you've had the unfortunate circumstance of knowing what MRSA is, to us, MRSA is scarier than COVID, and that's something that could kill our business. So it's basically an infection that a lot of times if another school's not clean and we were to go grapple at a tournament, we always come back kind of as a staff, the school doesn't know, kind of on this MRSA patrol where we do all this extra cleaning, just like in the COVID right now. So this transition was really simple for us. We have the waivers, and the waivers are interesting because they don't really hold up. I mean, you know, anybody can sue you for anything for that matter. So no, there really isn't any different things we've done on there. We have our waiver. We are a private club. We actually accept people into the school. So, and I'll just kind of end it like this. We have some qualifying questions. And one of the questions would be, you know, if you had any major surgeries, like, for example, if you just had a back surgery 6 months ago, we really don't want you to sign up, you know? So if you had an underlying health condition, we would probably not accept you at this point in time because of COVID and how dangerous it is with that. It being you are healthy and wanting to get more healthy, then we feel really good. This is going to help build your immune system more than us worry about you getting it here. But I don't know if that answers the question entirely, but unless I missed something.
No, I thought that was perfect. So it sounds like, you know, your insurance already kind of covers your mode of operation, but yeah. I loved that you highlighted the ability for you to maintain the level of health and safety, the cleanliness. You kept reinforcing, you know, that you guys are clean, that you're cleaning on a daily basis. And I think it's easy for people to not understand what that means. Like, are you spraying Lysol? Are you spraying this disinfectant? So yeah. Like, what, you know, are you using a wipe to wipe that down? But when you actually bought in MRSA and talked about that, because again, most people don't know off the top of their head, they don't think about that, right? They don't think that this is a disease or this is an infection really that you can contract from contaminated places, specifically from those open wounds, which are generating whenever you guys are fighting. So you have to naturally have in place a higher level of health and safety safety and maintaining that cleanliness. Otherwise, you're putting people at that jeopardy. And MRSA is not incurable. It's treatable, but it's not something that just kind of goes away. So definitely worth noting. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it puts into perspective the higher focus that your facility has on actually maintaining cleanliness and what that means. So I've included the discount, but where can people find you? So where are you physically located? Let's get that typed in, and then let's also include the phone number as well.
We're at 6080 West 92nd Avenue. It's right behind Costco, in between Wadsworth and Sheridan. So that's 6080 West 96th Avenue. We're in the back corner, kind of next to the salon. It's funny, the only other businesses that have survived here as long as us is the urgent care, the liquor store, and the gas station. So those are businesses people always need. And they actually do COVID testing right next door to us. But it's that urgent care there and right across from the mall. And then our phone number is 303-650-4466. And really our webpage, we've kind of gotten away from the whole website. It needs to be updated bad, but our Facebook is normally really, really active. But I can tell you right now, our whole industry is all kind of quiet on Facebook right now. It's hard to explain. If you see any gyms where everybody's kind of doing class pictures and stuff, the rest of us are like, it doesn't look good. You have to know how to do this. We don't do class pictures. We're not arm in arm right now. It's a bad look, and it's not what we're doing or you should be doing. So rather than just like encouraging everyone else in the jiu-jitsu world to try to do more jiu-jitsu without understanding some of these safety precautions that we do, that it's not as active. But we invite you to come down anytime and or give us a call, and I'll gladly answer your questions. And if anything else, your kids, kids classes, things like that, especially when there's no other sports, this is a great thing to check out and give you a chance to check out. It's a family activity. We have a lot of families that do this together. So
I absolutely love that. And I love your passion, love the people that generally I've interacted with at your facility. And I'm glad to see that you guys are still surviving and trying to adapt during this time. Want to thank everybody that's tuned in. For those of you that come on later, give us that hashtag replay. If you end up having questions that you have not been able to get us to answer for you, please type them in. We'll get them to you at a later point in time. Feel free to also DM us as well so we can address that. Before I go, Marquez did sneak in a question that was related to virtual courses. Are you still doing those? Where is the information about it?
We kind of dropped them down. Professor Sierra, is there any more virtual classes going on right now? No, they were a hit for a while. They were, but once we opened back up, they just kind of died. But it is something that we learned through this close down on how successful those can be. So definitely keep a lookout for them. That's something that we picked up a few things during our close down that we are going to just implement even when things got back to normal. So keep a lookout. That's something that I do want to have back up coming in the next month or two. So if you look on our webpage or Facebook.
Yeah, and I think that's terrific, especially whenever you're getting back open for the September through March enrollment period. That would definitely help to address those. So great question again, that was brought forward. If you have any others, please be sure you type them into the comments or DM us. Those of you that did spend time with us, thank you. Make sure that you come back with us tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll have Brian Poole with us. Brian was featured on broadcast several months ago now, but he will be talking more about diversity and inclusion in your workplace. How do you make that fit into your business model and your structure and policies and things like that? So if you're interested in how to implement that more or have questions related to DE&I, please tune into our broadcast tomorrow. Tony, thank you for hopping on here with me. I always appreciate our conversations, and there's never enough time in the day for us to keep going. So again, thank you and to the team. I hope you have an awesome day.